I'd like to at least keep the phone charged while I'm doing this, but if the inverter makes noise, I won't be able to. Hold on. Yep. Oh, I'm good. 90%. All right. Another day, another live. Hope everyone is doing well. We had some interesting comments on Friday's live. For those who watch the live back after it's been saved to YouTube, and I'll mention it throughout the stream. I kind of repeat myself a lot, but that's all right. Just change out of my pocket. I have scheduled some posts over on the Patreon page. Some daily devotionals, Monday through Friday at noon. Let's see, can I get 2 out of it? 3 would make a bunch of noise, but I guess I gotta cut my fingernails at some point. Be interesting to see what kind of conversations I have with people or comments that are made. I do this every week or every day during the week on the drive home. Sharing what's going on, what's happened in the previous streams. I'll mention it a bunch of times, but over on the Patreon page, I put out, yeah, there we go. Sorry about that. Hopefully it doesn't do that while I'm driving down the road, because then I'll lose a bunch of people, but the reason I do live this way is that I'm not really doing much on the ride home, and on Friday's stream did make me laugh, and AI caught on to that. YouTube AI caught on to that and posted a clip of me responding to the person that made a comment. And it was funny because this person had no idea what I was doing, why I'm live streaming, why I do what I do. And it's because I want to interact with people. I want people to see that I'm making progress on the goal that I have in mind. Thank you for the like. Thank you for the like. Subscription would be great. Hit the notification bell for when I go live. I'm not a perfect person. I'm really not. I still have my sins, as mainstream Christianity would call it. But I do have a defense for most things. It's not that I'm excusing my behavior, but thank you for the other like. It's up to 2. That's better than, that's the same as Friday's stream, but no teeth at all, brother. Maybe someday I'll get some dentures. But the best man at my wedding, his dentures cost, I think he said like $3,000. But that's all right. I've been dealing with this problem for so long that sometimes I forget that I have fucked up teeth. Hey, how you doing? Waved at the guy that's been staring at me for 5 minutes while I've been getting ready to leave. I've been doing that since I was a kid. I'll just wave at random people driving down the road, get their attention. Change it up a bit. But anyways, it's a little bit of a ride home. I'll be on here for about 40 minutes or so, 45 minutes, maybe 50, because I got to stop at Dollar General and pick up some soda for the evening. Yeah, it's only, 1:30? So it's an early stream today. Maybe some different people will get on and welcome. Oh, that would be the wife. Oh, don't do it. Pull out in front of me, like, really? Well, I'm glad you have the data on your phone, dear, to be able to watch and see some of these comments. But yeah, we talk about all kinds of different stuff. Mostly, my faith, Christianity, the different reasons why I do the things I do, because I've been studying the Bible pretty much my entire life, my adult life anyways. And I do have a defense for what a lot of Christians would say are sins, or you can't do this Christian, or whatever. The top number one thing that a lot of Christians say is that you're not a real Christian. You smoke cigarettes, smoke weed, drink alcohol, do drugs. The Bible talks about moderation. I'm not great at memory, but I know there's verses out there that talk about moderation. If it takes over your life, if you think about it all the time, then it's a problem. But I don't think about smoking cigarettes and smoking pot all the time. I got other stuff to worry about. If I want to smoke a cigarette, I'm going to smoke a cigarette. Do dishes, that's funny. Well, better than listening to... Well, I did see geese flying south this morning. I'm not sure if it's actual south, but I did see geese flying this morning. So I think Punxsutawney Phil was wrong. Oh, I'm up to 4 likes. Nice. So I'd like to go over why I'm doing what I'm doing right now, interacting with people, going live, giving people content to watch. 2012. Let's start there. 2012, I'm standing in supper line at the homeless shelter in Bangor. Standing next to my buddy, Pugsley. Nick, whatever. He goes by Pugsley. And I told him, it was just a thought in my head, because we had kind of been thinking about the solution to homelessness, unemployment, drug addiction. There's multiple facets and probably multiple solutions to this problem. But I said to him, take these 50 people that are in the shelter in line right now and put them on a piece of property with some oversight, some kind of management or whatever. With oversight, those 50 people would have been more productive than they had been their entire time being homeless or in the woes of drinking and drug addiction and all that stuff. People need time to settle out, or a place to settle out too. That's what I call it when somebody gets off the streets, is their mind, their spirit, their body, it all needs time to settle out and get back into a rhythm of a normal life. Living on the streets is not a normal life. I can guarantee you that. So over the years, the idea has evolved or adapted to the times, but it's always been based. There's a couple of spots in the book of Acts in the Bible that talk about how the early Christians lived communal lifestyles. And I believe that is a solution. There's other ways to do it, pull yourself up by the bootstraps, or get a housing voucher and do it that way. Or, and if I was given this option when I was homeless, I would have jumped at the opportunity. But an alternative to those ways of doing things is providing a place where people can learn the skills this generation definitely doesn't have, is growing their own food, raising their own livestock, and I always say at least having a hand in building their own shelter. I did it, but the shelter that my wife and I live in is the best man at my wedding, one of my best friends, helped us, or I helped him, Cheryl and I helped him, helped him build the floor, just to get it started. It was just before the first snowfall. In fact, I think if I remember correctly, we had a tarp over the finished floor, and there was snow on it. when one of my mom's friends from her hometown came out and helped us put up the walls, the roof, get it set. But I've had a hand in every part of this house. We've insulated the walls with a bunch of donation clothes from a church that knew where the clothes were going. Give me a second, I'm gonna get this on cruise control so I don't have to, something like that maybe. So you're the only one watching, dear? Probably, that's alright. But yeah, our house is insulated with clothes. A couple of spots where the insulation didn't quite fit. I don't know, a couple weeks ago we started cramming clothes in every cavity of the building that we could reach. And then I cut up a couple of shirts actually, just to chink around the window. That's not a racist term, it's a construction term. Stuck clothes in cracks where we could see the light coming around the window. Got a blanket over the door. And it's definitely made a difference. We're not using as much propane. But the next goal is to get some of the trees down on the property. This winter it's been kind of touch and go. If there's a warm day, I'll cut down some trees. Traffic, mailman's in the way. Get some trees down. Yeah. It's been here or there. Whenever there's a warm day, anything above freezing, I like to go out and try to cut trees down. We've got the Hercules battery-operated Sawzall that gets some of the smaller trees down. My mom has lent us a chainsaw, 16-inch bar on it. It's a Ryobi 2-stroke that gets down some of the bigger trees. The whole purpose is to get the trees down, start bringing in some wood chips, which I can get for free, and start covering the ground, because without the wood chips on the ground, it's kind of lumpy and there's big divots in the ground where walking around would be really difficult for people that don't have great ankles. So I want to get it all leveled out and start growing food. You know, we've got a locker, like a work box kind of thing. I call it a locker, but we've got I want to say like 5 different types of beans. We've got, you know, all the different colored bell peppers. We've got jalapenos. I don't know how well they'll grow up here. Let's see. When we moved to the property and started clearing stuff, we noticed that some of the stuff that was growing up, they were selling at the greenhouses around, like red columbine. So I started saving all the seed I could from the red columbines when it came time to harvest the seeds. And I've probably got, I'd say 2,000 seeds, just about. And, you know, I'd like to start selling them, you know, cheaper than what the greenhouses are selling them. Same with some of the excess food that we're going to be growing. Yeah, I know Carlos is going to come up and cut some more, but doing it once or twice, maybe 3 times a year isn't really enough to get it cleared. I'd like to, you know, have some locals, friends of ours, come out and at least, you know, help. I'll drop the trees if they can move them, limb them up, move them, put them where I want them. And I've always had this saying, many hands make light work. Those many hands may also have skills that I don't necessarily have, whether it's building structures or, you knowledge on how to grow certain things. We planted garlic in the fall because that seems to be the time when you're supposed to plant them. We've got, I think, 9 bulbs in the ground. It's not a lot, but it's something. We've got the hostas that I've been propagating. We've got daylilies. People up here call them ditch lilies, but they're a colorful flower. They bring in the pollinators. There's a lot of wild growing things. Like we've got blackberries growing all over the property, and I'd like to, propagate those so that we've got trellised blackberries. They're the wild Allegheny variety of blackberry, and they are pretty delicious. They're accustomed to growing out here. There's another one that I noticed is considered a succulent, but it does survive overwintered in Maine, and that's the autumn joy sedum, which is a very, it's a dark purple flowered, long stemmed. And then I've got, some house plants. I've got some aloe that I'm currently working on making many more of. Oh, somebody's out in a Mustang. Wow, that's brave. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's just getting started, and once we start propagating more and growing more, we'll be able to show people more of what we're doing, especially this time of year when it's cold outside and there's not really much to do. Eventually, we'd like to have a greenhouse so that we can actually do stuff in the wintertime, at least have a space where we can be outside but not be cold. I've been, the next big project I think is power, and not just power, but electricity, hot water, that kind of stuff. And my day job, I work at an automotive shop, and I see the components of what I want to do, and it's all basically inside of a car. There's the coolant system usually just runs to a radiator, and that would be coolant running through that system, but it would be running through from the engine block where it's getting heated to floor heating in our house, possibly radiator heater in the kitchen building, maybe even to help heat the greenhouse. And I imagine by the time the coolant gets back to the engine block, if it's not cooled off, it can go through a radiator and back into the engine block. But then you're also looking at charging battery banks instead of just we've got these big battery packs that we use a lot, and I tend to charge them on the way to work and on the way home. But to get some bigger, like off-grid batteries to charge while the generator is running, but also using the AC and heat system from the vehicle to cool or heat a space, maybe create or put together an air compressor system that can run off of the engine. And then the generator itself is going to automatically start anytime one of these parameters, air pressure, coolant temperature, battery voltage, I've got a list written down of the things that once it reaches that low level parameter, the generator is going to kick on and start creating power, heat, compressed air, several things, instead of just using the electrical system. Maybe doing some 12-volt lighting, utilizing every part of the internal combustion engines. Boy, walking in this weather is not fun. But yeah, that's the big project, I think, come springtime. I thought I saw a comment pop up and then it disappeared. When I stop at Dollar General, I'll scroll up through the comments and see who who's commented what. And I think I've read most of them, but I just want to remind everybody, even those who may be watching this after it's uploaded as a replay, I have scheduled daily devotionals for Monday through Friday over on the Patreon page. It's patreon.com/brotheralec. It's Monday through Friday at noon is when they're scheduled to be released. Perhaps, I think we've got about 30 minutes left on the stream. Once the stream's over, here in about half an hour or so, you can go check those out. I've got some content built up over there. There's a bunch of free stuff. There is a $1 a month membership, but I haven't actually put anything out for the $1 a month membership. I figured since I've got the daily devotionals kind of scheduled out for the rest of the month, I might do, because as I'm doing the devotionals, setting them up, I kind of read through, well, I read them of course, but I take maybe a snippet of a sentence and maybe try to work that into, could be a weekly message for the Patreon members, or I'd like to do it weekly, but just to getting started, I'd like to make sure I'm consistently streaming Monday through Friday, posting a daily devotional Monday through Friday before I start really getting into, it's not really a paywall, but it would be nice to get paid for some of the content I make. I'd like, 90% of it to be free. It would just, I think it would help the ministry a lot more than not. Simple memberships. I mean, once things get going and that membership starts kicking off, maybe I'll do a higher tier membership. But for now, it's just $1 a month. I have the sun to my back, so I may not be able to read these comments. All right. Wonder if I can check out some of these names. Wife, if you're still watching, can you write down Tudor Maxim 4696? See if they've posted anything. I'll be back in a minute. Let's see. Gotta get soda. This is my intermission stop. Should only be a couple of minutes, and then we can get back to chit-chatting. Let's see if I can get on chat without ending the stream. Hold on a minute. Should have enough cash. Yeah, I got enough cash. I don't have to bother with Cash App. Sorry, be back in a minute. Oh, chaos. What have we got? Nothing. I had to buy Dr. Pepper because I didn't have no crush. Fat as no jalapeno poppers at Parodies and Brewer. Keys. Here we go. So, what is everybody doing today? Watching me, of course. One of those Parodies tickets. Yeah. Oh, I should have grabbed another one of them books. Darn. Wow, we're up to 5 with 5 likes. Look at that. There's probably more people, but it just doesn't tell me. I don't need that plugged in. Okay. Yeah, it's like everybody buys the stuff we buy. Whee! Just a reminder, over on the Patreon page, daily devotionals Monday through Friday at noon. I've been contemplating doing something for the $1 a month tier. Maybe a weekly message. I was talking about that before I went to my intermission, but now I'm waiting for traffic. Even if you are not a believer, what is something that you are grateful for today? Oh, this van is just in my way. I'm gonna squeeze by though. Thank you. Coming through. Hey, there we go. Doing meds and waiting on me, Ma? What are you waiting on me for? Funny, the only people that are watching are the family I'm headed that way. Well, earlier, Ma, if you weren't watching, I was talking about clearing the land, that you would let me borrow your chainsaw, get some of them trees out of the way so that we can grow that garden. I keep reminding people about the daily devotionals that I put out Monday through Friday over on Patreon. They're free. You don't have to be a member. I think there's a free membership too. I'm not sure how that works, but regarding the devotionals, right? We are currently going through the book of Proverbs. I think today's devotional was on verse 3. We're shopping, yes. How is the chainsaw? It's in the back of the truck. But it's fine. I know what it needs. It needs probably some bar and chain oil, like you said. Probably needs some mixed gas, which I can get from like O'Reilly's or something. I gotta tighten up the bar because when I got done the last time cutting, the chain was loose, so I gotta tighten up the bar. But I think this afternoon, I've got some time. I think I'm gonna get the old. What time is it? I can't see that. whatever time it is. I know it's early in the afternoon. I'm gonna get the old battery-operated Sawzall out and try to cut down some of the smaller stuff down towards that back trail. Once I'm done with this cigarette, I got an idea. I was thinking about taking one of these trees that I chopped down and chopping all the bark off and cutting it into slivers so that I can make some coasters. Maybe a wood burning kit and burn in like some Bible verses. Let's set cruise control. Just heading out of Milford now, just in case anybody's wondering how long I'm going to be. I have nothing to drink. I should have got something. Well, I got 2 liter, but I'm not going to try and drink that driving down the road. Let's see. What would be the ideal size of a tiny house for, say, a married couple with 2 kids? I know you're probably watching on your TV, so I don't know how easy it is to comment. I am curious to see what YouTube AI is going to cut for a clip to upload. Again, the replay of the entire live will be available later today, maybe tomorrow. Reception out here isn't that great, so it takes a little while for that to process. The YouTube clip, they just somehow AI can figure out which clip to do. The last one from Friday was hilarious. I was talking about the guy that made the comment that I'm broke. Get a job. It's like, dude, if I didn't have a job, I wouldn't be able to ride around. I'm not really riding around. I'm riding home, but $300 to put a culvert in. Well, that's if you're going to do it, you know, not the right way, but the suggested way of doing it. Now, there's a couple of spots down there on the stream that are real close, because I'm not really looking to get like heavy machinery down on that 10 acres. I mean, maybe that's what they're looking at doing. I don't know. But I'm just looking for a crossing that I can get riding tractor, maybe a small utility tractor across, so that I can start taking wood chips down there. Once we get to that point, I mean, it's probably going to be a while before I can really start moving stuff across the stream. Let's see. How do you now? What? Family of 4, maybe 10 by 16. Yeah, see, that's the thing, is I don't like lofts. Because as that family ages, I mean, yeah, the kids can keep climbing up and down, but I don't want to climb up into a loft. I kind of want, like, I don't know, like half a mobile home. So, call it 14 by 30. Or, it's like 2 shipping containers side by side to be comfortable, not bare minimum. But I'm up to speed. So yeah, the goal is, and I've mentioned it in previous streams and previous shorts, but the goal is to take the 1.7 acres that my wife and I are on, and it's kind of a proving grounds to show that my idea is possible. I think, or I hope, I guess, I hope that once I can prove that the 1.7, the idea is provable on the 1.7 acres, that we will have enough income from what the property is producing to expand onto other acreage close by. You know, since I've passed the Greenfield Road, I'm about to pass the second for sale sign for pieces of land. And it'd be nice to have something out here on the big road like that one. They already cleared the lot, well, they built the landing there, but that'd be a nice place for a nursery, a garden, market garden as it is. I've watched a lot of, J.M. Fortier, Curtis Stone, a lot of farms that have since popped up. See, that one doesn't even have a realtor sign, it just says for sale. There's not even a clearing there. Elliot Coleman's a big one, Jim Kovaleski, a lot of these big name guys are what people are trying to emulate for big money on small acreage. And trees in the way, we gotta get them out of the way. But Elliot Coleman grows year-round in Maine. Right now, I'm not sure. They're probably starting to harvest some of the winter crops, lettuces, carrots, greens, kale. They have Elliot Coleman's farm. I don't know if he still works or his daughter does it now, but they have these greenhouses that they move them once a year. The spot that doesn't have the greenhouse on it has a green cover crop of some sort to add nutrients back into the soil, whether it's nitrogen fixers or whatever, just a cover crop. Then they move that greenhouse come warm weather, and then the next winter season is where they grow the same stuff. They have stationary greenhouses, but they also have the ones that move seasonally. Jim Kovaleski is another one of my favorites. He commutes seasonally. So right now he's probably, or used to be, I think he's retired to Maine now, but he used to live in Florida in the wintertime, grow food all winter down there, and then come springtime he'd come up to Maine, do the same thing up here, and each trip, whether he from Florida to Maine, he'd have crops to bring up to sell for cash flow as soon as he got here to whatever farmer's market he's a part of. And same thing going back in the fall. Usually in Maine, it's potatoes and onions that he would take with him. J.M. Fortier, he started on, I think it was 2-acre farm, proved that it was possible to make money on small acreage, and then he got hooked up with a financer who put him on 10 acres to prove that it could be scaled up to the point where they're making $1 million a year on a property, 10-acre property. It's $100,000 an acre. I can't remember the guy out in Oregon. The guy that I got the wood chip idea from is. Anyways, I watched it's called the Back to Eden documentary, and it shows, his process and what he does seasonally. in the wintertime, they're trimming their apple trees so that come springtime, they'll have good growth. And then in the fall, they have the best apples around. This guy's following me awful close. But yeah, all this stuff is an inspiration. I bought a couple of books. I bought Elliot Coleman's book a couple of years ago. Same time I bought J.M. Fortier's book, whichever one was out at the time. His was more about crop planning, and that's why I keep mentioning, what we've got to grow, the space that we've got to grow, what needs to get out of the way. I've kind of got a name for the farm. It's Three Sisters Farm and Garden. So it's basically the idea of the Three Sisters growing method, which is corn, climbing beans, and some kind of cover crop, whether it be squash, watermelon, pumpkin. I don't know if this guy's got his 4-ways on up here or what. But yeah, it's all giving me ideas on kind of the direction I want to go, farm-wise, resource-wise. Earlier I was talking about my generator idea. Eventually I'd like to do some farm tours for local VIPs that are interested in the concept. Probably rent to buy spots in the area. Well, I think leasing would be a better idea, or at least having an agreement to use land that just doesn't get used. Like out at the Four Corners, there's those, 2 fields kitty corner to each other that if I could just get access to them, then, or at least part of them, I don't need anything huge to start with, but this guy's got long lumber pointed in the wrong direction in his truck. The metal barrel. I don't know what you're doing, dude. Looks like some not filled wood. Oh, and you're going into Old Lemon. Okay. By 16 for 4 people with the lofts. Is my ADHD showing yet? What about double the length so you don't have to have lofts? About to be a truck going by your house now, the lumber I was talking about. It looks sketchy. final stretch to the house, 10 minutes or so. Maybe more if I'm following this guy. Just want to remind everybody, probably that are watching later, I've got devotionals scheduled out for Monday through Friday at noon for the rest of the month over on the Patreon page, patreon.com/brotheralec. Again, I do have a $1 a month membership tier, but there's not really much on that membership yet. So if you'd like to help the ministry by giving $1 a month, probably do weekly messages, maybe put them out on Saturday, Sunday, something like that. I can work on that. But like I said, I just want to get into a rhythm here of doing the daily devotionals, going live. Every once in a while I put out a non-faith-based short. Like I've been tracking the progress of the Sullivan Building and Brewer, which is completely gone. I think the last short that I put out for that got 1,500 views, decent numbers. I noticed that I've gotten some new subscribers because I've been going live, or that's what it seems the case may be. So if you're not, subscribe, notification bell so you get notified when I do go live. Looks like they're headed out to the Towers Road somewhere. And some of them boards are crooked. Alright, what's that? 6 likes? Nice. Better numbers than I received last week. Maybe this is fruitful. Pretty sure in the Bible it talks about humble beginnings. You know, God won't give us anything more than what we're already prepared, that He's prepared us for. You know, my life lesson has been consistent for years. Pretty much since the inception of my intentional community idea has been patience. Patience it's patient, you know, or maybe you don't know. Some people are born with a silver spoon in their mouth, and the rest of us get to play with wooden spoons. But if I was prepared for it, I'm sure God would bless me in a way that this would take off. But in the meantime, until I'm prepared for it, I'll just go live Monday through Friday and put out the daily devotionals and maybe make some progress towards doing something for the $1 a month members, or maybe increasing that to whatever amount it may be. But all I'm trying to do is build a community of like-minded people that want to see a change in society for the better, the betterment of society, the people in society. You know, a lot of people that I've met early on since I got saved, I've had several people tell me that the reason that they help out at the homeless shelters or the warming centers at the churches is because they have no frame of reference. They have no experience with that life. So that's the closest they can get. And so I tell them my experience and my testimony, where I spent 10 years living on the streets looking for a solution. And I've come up with a solution. It's just not be the perfect solution, and it may never be the perfect solution. But it is a solution that I think, I pray that someday will come to fruition, if it's God's will. So I'm glad that some people have watched and have continued to watch. And again, the replay will be available later on. Cut back some of the snowbank, maybe a little bit. And home again, jiggity jog, and I'm still not done. But I'm done with the live, pretty much. Thank you for watching. Oh, I'm way off. Come on. Mess that all up. Try this again. How about that? Here we go. Oh boy, let's go through and when the pines are build veggie stands. It's an idea. Saw 7. Oh, probably at one point. Yes, I have the necessary tools for the chainsaw, Ma. So 10 by 16, double the length, would be 10 by 32. Maybe 14 by 32. Yeah, with better internet, I didn't see that one earlier. Being able to, what we're grateful for, being able to FaceTime your children and grandson. Yeah. Grateful that I didn't miss this today. Every day, sometime through the afternoon, Ma. All right, so all the other ones I've seen, read, whatever. One final mention, daily devotionals, Monday through Friday at noon, over on the Patreon page. They are absolutely free. I will see what I can do about doing something for the member $1 a month level, weekly messages. I think I already have some ideas floating around in my head. But until tomorrow, God bless you.